Vicky, what's up? I'm gonna wait for other people to show up so we can get started. In the meantime, why don't we do a quick sound check? Want to help me with that?
The Backrooms is a series I think every online horror fan has heard of. Starting out as
How
a
does that
picture
sound?
on a random web thread on 4chan of an old mid-renovation furniture store to one of the biggest series and IPs on the internet. And all of that has been spearheaded by Kane Pixels, the creator of the YouTube series The Backrooms. This entire idea of a place beyond our reality, beyond what we think is real and possible, and I am just so what the visual aspects for YouTube. There's a reason that A24 hasn't making a movie on this stuff. So come along for the ride as I try to make some kind of sense of this amazingly shot, animated voice and horrifying series called The Backrooms.
Like, is it disturbing? Can you hear two sounds? Is there too much feedback?
Found footage was released on January 7, 2022, and we open up to a group of kids making some kind of film project, shooting scenes before the cameraman.
A little more. You got it? Yeah. Whoa.
How does that sound? Like, can you hear both me and the video? Mm-hmm. Okay, just want to make sure. But is it clear, or does it resonate? Does it echo? I don't know. All I see, there's one more person in the chat, but I don't. Oh, there is an echo? Okay, well, I don't. Okay, well, if I have no idea what's going. Oh, no echo. Gotcha. All right, we'll keep going then. We'll start the video and then go from there, and maybe others will join us. I don't know how to reach out to. I wouldn't know how to reach out to Zinx and Avery or anyone else. So I guess we'll just wait for a little bit. Okay, other than that, I mean, I guess we can get started and they can join us, and then we'll fill them in or start over. I don't really care. But I'm hoping more people show up so we don't have to start over from the beginning. Well, let me return a message. All right, let's get started. Just set the stage a little bit. So this is the entire lore of the Backrooms as presented by MA2, the channel. All right, so let's get it underway.
The Backrooms is a series I think every online horror fan has heard of. Starting out as a picture on a random web thread on 4chan of an old mid-renovation furniture store to one of the biggest series and IPs on the internet. And all of that has been spearheaded by Kane Pixels, the creator of the YouTube series The Backrooms. This entire idea of a place beyond our reality, beyond what we think is real and possible, has pulled in millions, and I am just the same. Because the series, I believe, is something everyone should watch, especially if you're a fan of mysterious, otherworldly horrors beyond our comprehension. Because this series is so well done, the animation, the visual aspects, they're just too good for YouTube. There's a reason that A24 hasn't making a movie on this stuff. So come along for the ride as I try to make some kind of sense of this amazingly shot, animated voice, and horrifying series called The Backrooms.
Okay, so just right off out the gate, this was all inspired by one picture. Somebody posted a picture on a forum, and someone else, imagination, I guess, ran wild and said, wow, I could turn this into something, and then came up with a lore, a backstory, right? That's interesting. Just staring at one picture really blows my mind. And sometimes I bet you guys do the same thing, right? Vicky, I bet you do the same thing. You see an idea or a picture and you said, wow, this could be a business, or this could be a TV show, or this could be blah, blah, blah. And it stems from something that other people, I guess, wouldn't think much about, you know?
Found footage was released on January 7, 2022, and we open up to a group of kids making some kind of film project, shooting scenes before the cameraman.
A little more. You got? Yeah.
I agree.
You may not know that the origins of this place actually come from an old 4chan user posting this image in 2011 to the website. And the most famous comment under this post reading, if you're not careful and you no-clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the back rooms. This is where it originally got its name, and no-clip.
We got to make a note of that for tomorrow's conversation. The concept of no-clip. We got to remember that when we start tomorrow's conversation. It'll be a regular phone conversation, so it'll be the vertical live streaming. Oh man, that light in the back. Give me a second. Okay, much better. But the concept, apparently, it's called no clipping. So let's try to remember that.
Clipping is a video game term of phasing through walls into other inaccessible areas, just like we see our cameraman do accidentally. And this to me actually makes the backrooms such a horrifying thing to think about. Imagine one day you're living your normal life and one wrong step, 1 second of bad luck, one fall of the atom, and you're gone, disappearing from reality into somewhere foreign, which is the situation we find our cameraman in. The backrooms, like shown here, is described to be a maze of rooms stretching seemingly forever. Originally, it's supposed to have hundreds of levels, and we see glimpses of this as Kane shows many different areas throughout the series, but we'll get to that as it comes up. This yellow maze is referred to as the complex on the Backrooms wiki, and a lot...
Well, we have My Bad Guy. I was finishing up recently. I've been making... Oh, nice. Dude, I like your beats. Zinx, we started the lore video. It is actually... it's 100. Wow, it's an hour and 34 minutes. We don't have to watch the whole thing, but so far, what we hit in a couple of points. So we know the origin of the backrooms is based on a video. I mean, a picture that somebody posted, right? And somebody ran with it. They used their imagination and said, "Hey, this could be a whole in lore, a whole background story." He gave the image a background story. And then the second note that I want to talk about tomorrow is a concept called no clipping. All right, so let's keep that in mind.
A lot of the story happens here, so get used to seeing that shade of yellow. The cameraman is justifiably frightened, and peeking around seems to be alone, but feels something stalking him. Turning around, and just for a split second, catching the glimpse of someone or something peering around the corner. After some time, he stumbles upon this crack in the wall that truly shows how unfathomably big this place really is, showing a huge long hallway that seems to stretch endlessly. Reality here seems to follow no rules, coming across a ladder that leads into a hole in the wall, leaving me with a strong question: are there other people here? Adding to the horror of this seemingly desolate place. As he walks around, he comes across more signs of life as he sees arrows drawn on the wall pointing him towards...
Okay. What the hell?
Yeah, you don't say. He seems to stumble upon drawings of eyes and a face with a window above it, almost like a child had drawn it, especially with the kid handprints all over. But it's also very odd since that drawing seems to be so high up. I presume it would be near 7 feet tall. Scribbles on the wall read out, "Don't move, stay still," before... we hear an almost robotic shriek, like if a screaming person has their voice put through a radio or robot filter cranked on high. A chase ensues, and we get glimpses of the creature that I can only presume was the one stalking the cameraman beforehand. It seems to be the shape of a towering human, but with a...
And it's funny that they said, oh, it's in the wall. It seems like a child was doing finger paint on the wall, right? Like writing on the wall with crayon, maybe. A very tall child. No, Lex. No. You're not gonna do this. And then you see the monster, and it kind of looks like a stick figure that a child would draw with black crayon, which is very interesting, right? A very infantile monster that's like either creating these creatures or drawing on the wall. Don't mean to spoil it, but the creature is a bacteria. Oh, here we go. The creature is a bacteria, you say?
Skinny body and huge head, looking more like a kid's stick figure drawing than anything. He is subsequently chased around the complex, looking back to only see the creature's right on his tail, while it screeches out, sending chills down my spine. He then enters the room of mirroring doorways, again seeing the monster behind him, but if we stop and look at it, we can see it actually isn't any sort of creature or animal, but looks more like the Venom symbiote without a host, seeing clear holes through its arms and legs with almost a triangular blank face. He quickly approaches a dead end with the only option is to jump down a dark hole, but honestly, he's left with no choice. Surviving the fall, he's able to get away for now, but jumping down has placed him in what looks like the basement of a house. Climbing up the stairs, he sees that the place actually has working switches where he could turn the lights on and off, but also that he is not in some house. He has actually entered a huge apartment or hotel complex surrounding an empty courtyard. The loneliness of this place gives me the creeps. It really takes me back to the times of when I was a kid walking around the hotel my family was staying in.
See all those buildings outside with the windows and everything? When you go to the military boot camp, that's what the buildings look like. And when you see here, all this like in the windows, in the mornings you can see Marines or recruits doing side straddle hops and like push-ups and screaming and doing all these exercises. But this is what at least what San Diego looks like, MCRD San Diego, just the Marine Recruit Depot. But anyways, that's what I thought about when I saw the outside buildings through the window.
On our trips. Seeing no one in a place you know should be full of people is terrifying, to say the least. I mean, look at Will Smith in I Am Legend. That man went crazy real quick. To add to the randomness of this place, there's even some rope and a real-life waste management garbage collector in a room, looking like a piece of fine art. But at this point in the video, I began to really think, what is this place? It seems to have glimpses of the real world inside of it, but nothing of actual people, or even an upkeeper taking care of the place, even though it seems nice and clean. As the cameraman continues on, he comes to this long, straight tunnel, and as he approaches, we can see that there's hundreds of these places spanning what seems like forever. I'm not sure how the cameraman gets past this, but he ends up going through what he believes is an exit door, but ends up back in the complex. And from this, we can kind of infer that this area is the main hub of the entire structure. I don't know if we can categorize it as levels just yet, but when you think about it, he jumped down a hole leading him to level 2, and coming back up seemingly placed him back to the start. But trying to make logical sense of this place is impossible with infinite looping corridors and structures so big they disappear from your eye view. This all can't be possible. Now, moving around more slowly due to the fact that he knows what lurks around the corners, we begin to hear what's...
Okay, so the structure clearly doesn't make any sense, right? It stretches for miles. Like maybe a room looks very small, but then you walk in it and it's a long hallway. So just like a never-ending structure. And I'm thinking about that, and I'm wondering, they must be in another dimension, right? Like it's not. Like I'm curious about that. Like find out what's going on and why the buildings are so big. And the fact that they only show us level 1 and 2, there's minus infinite levels, so you can't even begin to comprehend how far and how much more levels are there. So every floor is a level, I presume. Master, I just got out of an outage that lasted 29 hours. Was when the winds got Oh wow, Two-Time, welcome to the live stream. I'm sorry you had to go through a power outage. It goes so far into the minus levels, literally begin to become corrupt. Dang, that's some serious lore.
Radio waves in the background before a chair is flung in front of him, startling him away. And he's forced to hide in a small crevice in the wall, and we finally get the full body image of the creature once again. Seeing the proportions of this creature is a little off from the first time we saw it, and it makes me kind of think, could there be more than one of these things in this place? I mean, it's not unlikely to think that, but it seems to be made out of the same kind of goo held together at the joints, despite being paper thin. As he tries to escape around the corners yet again, the cameraman is faced with a decision, a deep hole or surely face death. But luckily, he doesn't have to make that choice.
Oh, wow. Oh, he got pushed. Wait.
Going frame by frame, we can see the creature grabs the cameraman. Well, now just man, and wraps around him.
There he is. You can see the arms, the legs. You're right. So originally, I thought the cameraman fell with the camera, but it's actually when we see the ascending or the descension like through the sky, right? It's just the camera by itself falling into the ground. It's not the cameraman with it.
Like a jacket. And the camera seems to no-clip back out of the back rooms and thousands of feet above the ground.
And there it is one more time. Sorry for pausing so much, but the no-clipping concept keeps coming up. Yeah, that's what I was trying to tell you the other night. The monster got him, but the camera made it back to the reality. So literally, if he dropped, he would have made it, but the end of the day, he wouldn't have survived the fall. Yeah.
Ends the first video, but this isn't all of what this upload has to offer, because if you look in the description, we can see a date saying September 23rd, 1996, along with a link to another video. Before we venture into that link, let's first look back at the beginning of the video when the boys were filming their project. You can see a date for July 4th, 1991 on the clapboard. Hey, wait a minute, is the cameraman named Kane Pixels?
And hit the floor.
Did Kane just kill himself in his own video? Anyway, the 1996 date seems to be the day the video was uploaded, 5 years later than when originally recorded. We saw the camera was still rolling and presumably intact by the end of the video. So does this mean that someone found the footage and waited 5 years to post it? Or could it be that time moves much differently in the
This is very condensed.
Moving 5 years while he was in there, or possibly pulling the cameraman into the back rooms in 19...
That's another concept. So we have, so far we have different dimensions, different levels, no clipping, and time travel.
91 and spitting out the camera in 96, meaning that there's some kind of time travel element at play. But let's not take too much time dwelling and look at the linked video titled Mar 11th 90 archive.tar, which I presume stands for March 11th, 1990. The video itself is unlisted and came out a day after the original found footage short film. And looking in the description again, we can see that the footage was compiled on June 1991. a month before the cameraman slipped into the complex. The video itself shows a compilation of pictures, the first one looking like early construction of the complex, almost as if this place was being built, but that would be utterly impossible with just how big it is. We're also shown an image of what I thought was some kind of computer hardware, but could possibly be a layout of the back rooms. Seeing this huge empty space on the right reminds me of the break between the walls that seem to have gone on forever, so maybe there is a way to navigate this place. Later in the video, we are shown what seems like workers of some kind of system with their faces redacted, and now a more fully formed complex room and what looks like workers observing the complex. But why? We are then shown a picture reading Null Zone 4 with very blurred text at the bottom right. Luckily, the comments were able to decipher what it apparently spelled out, reading, "Due to the elevation discrepancy between panel 225 and 224, a null KX field is created." After trying to research, I have no idea what KX field refers to, but elevation...
That'll be something to also make a note of. The KX field. Apparently, there's no real-world reference. So I'm guessing they just wanted to increase the mysticism behind it. You know, make it more mysterious by giving it a strange name like KX field. No zones are basically
apparently relates to the measurements of where something lies in elevation. So for example, if I'm flying a drone at say 10 meters in the air, but my reading shows something different, that is an elevation discrepancy. And this makes sense to why this is mentioned here, because like we see in the beginning of the video, the cameraman falls into the complex on flat ground, but the camera is flung out thousands of feet in the air. Also referring to only Null Zone 4 having this discrepancy could mean that certain parts of the complex are different doorways leading in and out at different points in our own reality. Basically meaning we're dealing with a huge otherworldly human-like complex that is either created by humans or at least studied by them, containing huge killer goo creatures and has a different sense of time than our own world, which can be entered at and exited at different points in our reality. Oh yeah, I live for stuff like this. The next picture shows some kind of chamber with pipes all around it, looking like something NASA would build. I'm unsure the importance of this right now, but if I had to guess, it looks like some kind of doorway. Ooh, dang, and that's all on video 1. Strap in, folks. We got a long ride ahead of us. The next video in the series, the third test, was created July 2nd, 1988. The earliest...
Third test. Wait, what's the implication of the third test? Who is testing? What is testing? Is this an experiment?
Is that yet and opens with a robotic voice reading the information about a company called Async Research Facility, which is in the middle of testing a low proximity magnetic distortion system, which I have no clue what that means, but I believe it has something to do with all the machinery and doorway we saw earlier. As blueprints and still images of machines and workers pass on screen, we are told about the background of this entire...
Okay, remember, sound footage videos are from the perspective of the people who fell into the back rooms. The normal title videos are the perspective of the government who's studying the back rooms. Oh, the tests are being conducted by the government. Okay, so this is a government experiment. Oh, go figure.
Entire experiment. And particularly how the third test, which is the title of the video we're watching now, was not released. On top of that, we also learned that this entire thing is a US government-funded program, because of course the government has something to do with this. With an odd blue screen of text popping up, I can't fully understand what it's trying to say, but I can read the words are facilities to reinstate their progress. Not sure if there's more to that, but we also learned of the vice president of Async named Ivan Beck. Totally won't be an important figure going forward, who has described the purpose of this machine as focused on helping residential needs and saving money on property construction and management. With that in mind, could the connection be made that this was a program meant to house the growing population of the United States? I mean,
wild. Okay, so there's another piece of the puzzle, guys. It's possibly because think about it, the hallways, the buildings, the structures are so large and ever expanding that they can house millions of people. So maybe this was in fact a housing project, kind of like Section 8, but bizarre. Don't surprise me. I have been urging to mention something, but it really isn't the time for it. You can chime in whenever you want. Like, this is spoilers time. So if you guys want to spoil away.
Meaning, are the backrooms just a pocket dimension that scientists tried to create to save money on building costs in space? Or could it be a different reality altogether that the US is trying to colonize? My personal theory as of right now is that the backrooms was just a room being built to then be multiplied infinitely through different doorways like we see throughout the video. But something more has to be at play here, because that doesn't answer what those creatures inside are. The video ends showing the undisclosed test footage on June 2nd, 1998, showing the machine turning.
June 2nd, 1998. Got it. The government planned to do was, what the government planned to do was turn the dimension backrooms into a massive storage facility, also like a living quarters for government officials. Little did they know there was bacteria there. And then it's not a spoiler, but it's about Jackie, one of my cats. Oh, please don't tell me two time. Oh no. Okay, so the bacteria will play a big role in this.
On and opening a portal to what I can only presume is the same yellow complex just for a split second. So June 2nd, 1998 was the day that Async opened up the portal to the backrooms. But that doesn't explain why this third test in particular wasn't released. Is this not what they wanted? Jumping forward more than a full year later, Episode 3, First Contact, takes place October 17th, 1989, opening up to an FBI warning, backing up the claim that, yes, indeed, the US government has a hand to play in this, along with the Async logo. Get used to hearing about them a lot too. Text on screen shows that this is Test 6, showing more equipment at work, presumably all needed to run whatever doorway they've created, along with modification lists seemingly showing different ways that Async is changing the doorway, having detectors, monitors checking vibrations, and introducing before a screen for just a split second pops up, giving the code that when reversed reads DNCH/DY equals 8,000, followed by 3 failures. Looking through many comments, people have different sources of what DMCH/DY equals 8,000 refers to, but all of them seem to coincide that it has something to do with particle collisions. Reading this Cornell University article on it, it seems to be the maximum amount of particles that can be created from these collisions. It's actually really cool to see that Kane is incorporating some real-world science into this series. It just gives an extra layer of reality. Since these particles release a huge amount of energy, this might be the way that they are opening the gateways into the back rooms. Even being shown what looks like the blueprints to part of the magnetic distortion system, that, if you remember, being what they refer to as the doorway. I'm not going to refer to it as the magnetic distortion system all the time for simplicity's sakes, but I feel like we're on the right track. We also get a full view of the doorway undergoing testing, showing the raw power this machine creates, making the entire room shake, before showing what seems to be a map of some sorts expanding while scientists argue in the back, finally making first contact. This episode seems to stand as the catalyst for all that is to come. The first and still only time needed to open the portal, since the machine is now destroyed. I doubt they have any way of really closing it up. But from previous videos, we know that this isn't the only gateway to the back rooms. It seems by that opening one doorway, Async, and by extension the US government, has destabilized our own reality, allowing for small pockets to open up, presumably all over the nation and possibly even the world. And
so that's why when we watched that video of the girl that made that put tape on the floor in the shape of a square, it turned into a portal. Like, he's a skinny Bombay that is gay. I don't know if he'll survive in the outdoors. Oh no, poor baby. Guess he must be eating canned food. Because he has some one still. Oh no.
The consequences of this we can actually see in a linked video in the description, titled faultline.mov, another unlisted video that Kane released alongside First Contact. The video itself opens up to a news anchor talking about an earthquake that struck the west coast of California, right in the middle of Game 3 of the 1989 World Series. And would you happen to believe that that date is October 17th, the same day Async opened the portal to the backrooms? Known as the Loma Prieta earthquake, Kane seems to hint at some kind of correlation between Async opening their portal and these earthquakes hitting Northern California, showing the destruction it caused all the way from San Francisco to Oakland, destroying bridges and hurting a lot of people, showing that the earthquake actually originated around San Jose and between Santa Cruz, along the San Andreas fault line. Could this possibly be where Async is located? Even if we don't know that, something is clear. Async is testing things that it doesn't have the power to control. If just opening the portal caused these massive earthquakes to happen, I can only imagine what the complex itself can do. And besides that, what does the US government have to say about what Async is doing? There's no way they're just going to turn a blind eye to async causing earthquakes unless async is keeping them out of the loop. But horrifyingly enough, this might be the most least worrisome thing that everyone should be focusing on. Because in the following video, Missing Persons, we are shown a compilation of missing people posters of all ages, followed by a graph showing reported missing.
Okay, missing people. That made me think about something, guys. We're gonna have to add that to the list of topics, because one of the things I remember while living in Mexico is that there was this cartoon channel that occasionally would display, make public services announcements, showing that kids were missing. Kids would go missing, right? And I remember one of those strange things about it is that they used the same children's faces, and all they did was swap out the name for a different one. So that never made any sense. So we'll do a deep dive on that, but so we can discuss it. But that's gonna be the missing children from Channel 5. Guys, make sure we remember that, because I want to add it to the topic discussion.
Missing persons cases skyrocketing in late 1989 after the 6th test. And it's clear that these missing people are a result of no clipping into the backrooms. I didn't mention that first, but the date in the description reads February 3rd, 1990, only a couple months after the opening of the gateway. What's really interesting to think about, though, is that you would think people would know something weird is going on. Like if your friend all of a sudden phased out of reality in front of you, as well as hundreds of other people randomly going missing nationwide at rapid rates. Something has to budge. But anyway, we're once again back in the complex. This time we follow a team of async employees exploring. The only thing guiding them back to reality is a long rope on the ground. And as they look around, they come across.
So they discovered they're in hazmat suits. I'm guessing that's because of the bacteria.
Across a corpse of someone. The only thing is that they are covered by some kind of fungus reaching all the way up the walls. It's also the same color of that skinny monster in the first video.
I'm sorry.
Could those two somehow be connected? As they get closer, the async employees seem shocked that the body's even there. Before pictures of bacteria pop up with another blue screen reading, "If anybody, blame him," spelled backwards. Who him is, I'm not sure of right now, but if I had to guess, it has to be the only named person in the series thus far, Ivan Beck, the vice president of async. But that's purely based on process of elimination for right now, unless it's that unnamed scientist who basically led the backroom's door to opening. But I doubt that. Moving on to the next one. Informational video was created February 29th, 1990, only a couple weeks after the expedition team made contact with that fungus-covered body. Informational video acts as more of a trainee video that Jobs will have you watch before starting. From the opening title, it seems like the team venturing in and documenting the complex are KV-31. We learned a couple minor things in this video, such as the doorway to the complex I've been referring to this entire time is actually known as the threshold to async, as well as the many names that async refers to the backrooms as. One I've been saying is the complex, but it's also known as the machine, the door, and hallways. The video also tells how talking about the complex is strictly prohibited. Before, for a split frame, the map that was seen being created during Test 6 pops up and another blue screen with more backwards text reading. Not that it would do any good, but and I can't read the rest. I'm unsure if the text is referring to information getting out not doing any good because either the government is already behind this, so you're not going to stop them, or because the complex itself is already open, so it's too late to stop. I had a theory that maybe all the blue screens are in connection, and if we read them in order, it actually all connects. If anyone, blame him. Not that it would do any good, but that's just a theory, not a game theory. After this, the video shows how you're supposed to enter the complex, only going in groups at a minimum of 3, before switching to that day's expedition. At 11:36 a.m., we are shown the recording, and it seems that they have rebuilt the threshold, making the entryway more secured compared to when we last saw it, basically on fire. And as they walk and talk, it's hard to describe what exactly they're saying since the suit muffles their voice, but they seem to be talking about a situation that happened 2 weeks ago during their voyage, possibly referring to the corpse they had found and gathered to be further studied, which is something we will see coming up. This next part, though, I have some trouble here.
I have a small little theory, and I feel just like I said, how they're gonna include footage from these videos in the movie. Kane Pixels, aka the first casualty, in all of this is going to make make an appearance. I think that's what you meant. I hope so. It'll probably be a cameo, but possibly very how do you say, incognito.
Hearing what they're saying.
I mean, do you really think that that's actually a toxin in this situation? I mean, there's too many variables.
It seems he says, I mean, do you really think we would go back to a toxin in this situation?
Possibly.
I mean, there's too many variables.
But
I'm
might
unsure if
be
that's exactly what's being
CGI.
said. And if anyone in the comments knows better than me, it would be a huge help. But if they're saying toxin, I want to believe they're referring back to that black fungus that was surrounding the corpse, possibly showing how the complex itself might be a toxic environment. I mean, they are wearing hazmat suits. And I never mentioned in that first found footage video, the cameraman at one point does cough while walking around.
So he's the first.
I just brushed it off at the time.
Wait, the guy against the wall, is that Kane Pixels? Because remember how he gets, snagged by the bacteria monster? And then he drops the camera and the camera falls 1,000 feet. Yeah, that was him. Oh, so he dies on the first. Oh, wow. Like he killed himself off on the first. Vicky. On the first scene, on the first chapter. Okay. Because at the end of the day, what does bacteria do? It spreads just like a virus, and monsters in the back rooms don't eat people. They spread the bacteria to others. Oh, they're surviving. Or they could be breeding, using human bodies as some sort of, I guess, culture to spread their, to continue living, continue to, breed. That's what I'm saying. Kane Pixels was the first casualty in the back rooms and the first person to ever fall in. Huh.
Maybe there's more to it than I expected. As we follow one of the workers' POV as he walks, he notices what sounds like crowd noises coming from a hallway.
Hey guys, can you hear this? Hey.
Well, that's not good. It's interesting if the back room shifted its walls around, or if he possibly was just sent to a different time in that same place. I mean, it is the same exact corridor, just with the team no longer there. Rightfully panicked and without the rope to lead him back, he wanders aimlessly and scared as the corridors and walls begin to blend together. He then enters a huge room with stands, long shelves, and charred debris on the floor. We also hear him cough as well, making me think more and more that possibly just being in the complex is having a dangerous effect on human bodies. Pulling up on a seemingly black hole in the wall, he turns on his flashlight to reveal a completely new area with tree pattern wallpaper covering the room and a lonely axe with an assortment of wheelbarrows around. And is that a barn?
No, absolutely.
What is going on?
And Zinx, there's no, I have no problem with spoilers. Right now I'm just gathering intel so we can have a more involved conversation, and once we take it over to the usual live stream, we can have different, I guess, explore different ideas based on what we are seeing in this lore video. But yeah, feel free to spoil as much as you can. To be honest, I don't even feel like they're spoilers because the back rooms goes from infinite minus levels to infinite plus levels, but there's spoilers in it. Spoilers if it's infinite. Yeah, very true.
The barn itself actually doesn't look like a 3D object, but a wallpaper placed on the wall itself, like a background. We also hear what sounds like a squeaky door quietly opening. But it's really hard to tell. What that could mean, I'm really unsure, but it has to do with something with the crowd noises we heard earlier, possibly just being the sounds of the real world you can hear in the complex through null zones. As for why this place looks like a cottagecore's dream room, the theory I have for this is a little out there. But throughout the entirety of the complex and its many levels, they all have one thing in common. They are places where humans would naturally gather and be at, but there isn't any there. We have office walls and hallways, apartment/hotel complexes, and what seems to be the best attempt at creating a barn area with trees surrounding it. It's almost like the complex itself is alive and is trying to imitate what is a normal world, but just can't comprehend it, making crude and weird mirror attempts. But finally, this lost crew member is able to find some kind of exit door, but something's off. It doesn't seem like the one he originally entered in with his crew. And when he walks through the doorway,
This room is a little bit wrong. The reason why this room is decorated is because the government, like I said, was trying to make it
It
basically a
seems some
big
kind of
hotel
alarm
and
set off,
storage.
but we actually can see the
Gotcha,
threshold door
yeah.
right there in front of
All
it.
right.
But that front computer with the window, it more closely resembles the setup we saw in the March 11, 1990 archive video. And by looking at the blueprints drawn at the end of the video, we can actually see that the threshold is connected to that back wall, entering into this huge room, with computers at the front with lines to draw where a window is placed. And now from this room, you then enter the complex. But the thing is that March 11th video was released in the Backrooms world June 1991, almost a year later. So could this be an actual exit, but just 1 year in the future? That would back up my theory earlier that the complex time traveled the async worker into a different period when his team just wasn't at that location. And would also give reason as to why the alarms would sound, since no one should be in there at that time. If so, it seems Async has learned to somewhat stabilize the entrance more, even being able to build into the complex somewhat. But what does that mean for our out-of-time friend?
But that
That's something
lore
we're going to
only
find
goes
out
for
in
just
upcoming
the
videos, but the
big
series
enough
is actually going to
on
take
the
us
room.
back a little bit in time in the autopsy
painted
report.
hallways.
Right away, we are
Every
shown the
other
John
level
Doe's
was filmed
autopsy
and made
report
by
dated February 5th,
the
1990.
Backrooms
2 days after the body was
people.
found in the complex by the research team. We learned a little bit about the fate of the man, the scientist saying he died from malnutrition, seemingly 5 days before he was found. But what's interesting, even though he says that the body itself has severe tissue damage, it seems that the decomposing process was somehow halted. We are showing some kind of growth seemingly mutated with the fungus covering it. There's also a sticking on the side, but I just can't quite make out what it says. As he goes on, he says that tissue-wise, some parts of the body were kept perfectly intact, while others were completely taken over by the fungus, which we actually learned is a form of Hay bacillus, which isn't dangerous as the doctor describes, but for some reason, in the conditions of the complex, it seems to basically mutate it and have it attack and feed on our human bodies, making me think that the bacteria itself is keeping some parts of the body fresh while also slowly consuming it. Something else to note, remember when I mentioned that the fungus looked the same color as the monster in the first video? What if it really is the same thing? And this stick figure creature is just a huge bacteria monster,
so this
feeding
is
on
kinda
all
like
those that
a-
fall
not a
into the
co-
back rooms.
more
I
of
mean,
a
we see how it wraps around the
cooperation.
cameraman, looking more like it was going to
Technically,
consume him than
level
outright
1
kill
and 2
him.
are
And if that's
only
true, maybe
canon
this is
in
the
this
beginning
story.
stages of that monster coming into form, because the crew seems to have not come into contact with this tall figure, because they would.
But that's interesting because sometimes even if when you write something and somebody else adds to it, occasionally authors will take what the fans made and kind of, I guess, retool it to make it canon. The level was I was talking about level Run for Your Life that was made by a fan. Oh dang! So hopefully it becomes canon, because that was
definitely
pretty
not be
fun.
walking around so calmly if they knew it was
I mean,
lurking.
rather
The doctor
scary.
then closes with asking Ivan Beck,
This
the vice
reminds me
president of
of a
Async,
crazy
where
8
this body
movies,
came from.
8 films that I-
Mr. Beck, may I ask where this subject came from?
So it seems that the complex and the project itself really is kept under wraps, especially if their own autopsy team doesn't know what's happening. The video
One of the
closes
most
with a very
favorite
creepy compilation that I'll
is
just
the
let you guys
old
watch.
ones. And funny enough, he made the camera in the video with the girls. That's rad. The girls showed that. Oh wow! So he did adopt some of the non-canon and he made it canon. Vicky, I need to check out the 8 films that I should definitely check that out.
Breaking down the compilation, it seems to be filled with images of bacteria, political officials, people, inventions, the universe, bombs, and volcanoes all mixed in with different things we've seen of the backrooms, the threshold, the corpse, as well as text on the screen. It's cut off, but I can somewhat read out what it's saying. And to that point, the sentiment. All serious engagements in this environment was never suited for mankind. To maintain, delusion would be to condemn. Ending on this picture of the threshold when it first opened with what I can only describe as either the sun or some kind of nuclear bomb detonating overlaid onto it. The video itself has a lot of things in it, but the overarching message that it seems to be trying to tell is that these are important events, moments in history that changed the course of the world. The sailing of Christopher Columbus, the creation of cars, space exploration, along with moments of mass destruction, nukes being dropped, volcanoes erupting, along with men in suits that oversee everything. The bacteria is, of course, referring to the fungus found in the backrooms, but to me, honestly, it seems that the video is implying the contact that Async and the US government has made with the backrooms is an event so huge, it can be compared to other world-changing moments in human history. Something so big it slumped in with the discovery of the Americas, but so powerful and dangerous that what they have just opened could be akin to how humans created the nuclear bomb. I mean, if the video at the end truly is a bomb over...
Yeah, but it's so interesting because it's saying that a lot of the, I guess, historical events that are, you know, canonical in real life were somehow affected by the backrooms, which is interesting because the backrooms exist in, you know, between the years of 1988 and 1996, I believe. So far, that's what I'm aware of. But it somehow, we know it travels through time, so it's possible that the backrooms also affected world events, right? Like the space exploration, the creation of the vehicle. What is it? The one thing you have to remember that in the backrooms, time doesn't exist. So every event that happened in real life, from the nuclear bomb to all these events are basically happening at the same time. Oh, and possibly continuously, right? Because it's continuous, a continuous time loop where everything happens all at once. I mean, I'm not so sure how. I'm sure that at some point that becomes in itself a paradox, or like a time travel paradox, but still.
Overlaying the threshold, then that means Async has just opened a doorway into powers so dangerous it could cause the end of the world. But who really knows? And before we move on, I want to again implore you guys to go watch these videos in the series itself in its entirety. Kane does a really good job of making this world come to life and giving it an aura of creepiness and horror that I just can't do justice. So if you...
It's so interesting that both the creator of this channel, like MA2, and yourself, Zinx, like, were able to, you know, I guess, find all this lore, despite the fact that when you watch the videos, they're mostly quiet. Like, this blows my mind a little bit. I mean, think maybe, yeah, our actions as human race were probably the reason why the backrooms got created. Yeah, but it's like they're like retroactively affecting us, like retroactively affecting humankind, or the, you know, humanity.
If you do like the series from what I've explained, stop, go watch. I'll link it in the description below, and I don't know, watch the whole thing, get the full experience, or just continue on from where I left and come up with your own theories.
I'm very open-minded and a perceptive person, to be honest. I understand the backrooms. You have to be paying attention to every little detail. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, when we were watching the first and second video, I'll be honest, I didn't catch a single thing. All I know is that the guy's walking around, the rooms are never ending, the sounds are, you know, how do you say, the ominous music creates this weird sensation. But other than that, I did not catch nearly as much as you understood. And even less than, you know, the guy on this video. But that is really interesting that you guys are very, very perceptive.
Just make sure to come back and let me know what you thought of in the comments. But if you're still here, let's move on to the next video, Motion Detected. It seems some time has passed, moving us to March 5th, 1990. The Async crews began to build out the room in front of the threshold like we saw in their blueprints. They've also set up cameras in front of the doorway and along certain diagonals so they can watch anything that might move. I don't think they're expecting the bacteria monsters, more likely just to view and record if there's actually anything in this complex. What's really interesting from this...
Yo, did you see the camera on the tripod? Very similar to the design of the bacteria monster. Even sound cues, he'll barely show it, but there are very little fast glimpses of the bacteria, and the lore just speaks for itself. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if it actually exists. Yeah, you know what? I don't disqualify or discount anything.
this map too, though, is it seems they have a good sense of the layout of at least some sections near the threshold. But most importantly, it looks like there's actually an end or an opposite side to the complex. It's funny to me that the equipment is basically just a camera on a tripod. I forgot this is in the 90s and they don't have 4K miniature cameras embedded in the walls yet. Accompanied with this, we're also shown all the footage of the motion alerts that happened that day. The first couple of hours are full of normal occurrences. I mean, normal for the backrooms at least. Motion is detected when the crew walks by at the beginning and the end of their expedition, as well as movements from a supervisor and sounds of the threshold closing. But an hour after midnight, at 1 a.m. on March 6th, weird, almost breathing noises can be heard. As well as just an hour later, the mic apparently fails, which is weird for a US government-backed tech company. You think they would get some mics that don't break, but finally, we actually see some kind of movement in the far left corridor. It looks only like a shadow of tentacles moving around in the air, but there's no way to know exactly what it is, because this doesn't look like the bacteria monsters we were seeing before. But looking back at Found Footage 1, I noticed that as the cameraman was being chased by the monster, it seems that he no-clips through the walls. It's really hard to see, but rewatching it back, he just phases through the ceiling, through the wall in front of him. And for a series so interwoven and particularly fleshed out, I don't think this is a mistake.
See, I knew it. Like, no clipping is a very important aspect of the entire lore, right? The entire series, because no clipping was mentioned in the very beginning, and that's how you make it through the, how you pass through into the dimensions, into the back rooms from the real world. That's crazy. I never noticed the monster can clip through literally any wall. It explains how he catches up to the victim so fast. Yeah, that's another thing. And since the bacteria monster is also part of this world, I doubt the bacteria monster is affected by the time and space or real world physics.
And like we see with this tentacle here, it seems to be floating and flies through the ceiling. So on top of the horrors that those creatures already bring, are you telling me they can also phase through walls? But how is that possible? Why would they be able to do that? We know the complex has null zones where people can phase in and out of it, but could it also add that property to different organic matter? We're just gonna have to keep a close eye on moments like that to see if we can get any more evidence. But for now, let's move on to Prototype. Prototype, unlike Motion Detected, is not straightforward at all. It's much different than what we are used to for the back rooms. We're shown test footage of what seems to be the first test model of the threshold, albeit on a much smaller scale, but just by seeing the power it's able to create and emit, there's no doubt in my mind we're looking at the beginning stages of the machine. It seems to be a metal ball surrounded by shooting mechanisms, which, if I had to guess, shot particles out of it. But this video also gives us a possible location of where the back rooms are, or at least another important area, and if I'm correct, the only other name we've gotten in this series besides Ivan Beck. Oak Ridge National Laboratory is a real research lab in the U.S. located in Tennessee, right outside of Knoxville. If the prototype research took place here, then I'm sure that the threshold experiment most likely was here as well. But that kind of throws off my ideas of where it originated due to the earthquakes. So that may not be true, but something tells me this place is important too. Looking under that, we can see that the prototype was created under the supervision of a Philip R. Heyman. If this is before the creation of Async, I will throw my hat into the fire and say that this is probably either the president or the founder of Async. But we'll see how that theory unfolds. Moving on to the longest video in the series so far, Pitfalls follows Marvin E. Lee, one of the researchers going through his daily routine into the complex. Dated May 6, 1990, we see him and the rest of the KV-31 crew getting ready, also learning the names of two of the other three researchers, being Mac and George. Async has also been ramping up their work around the threshold, making them more fortified every time we see it. As they walk through, they seem to be talking about approvals for expanding further into the complex and mapping more out. And we can see the methods they are using to ensure not getting lost, implementing ropes into the ground and markings across the floor. As they explore around, they come across this carpet-covered grid-patterned floor with what looks to be holes of bottomless pits. They decide to venture across, which is astonishing, especially since they have no harnesses. And after one ventures across to see what's through the door on the opposite side, he implores Marvin to follow him before...
Oh, get out of here. No, thank you. You really want to tempt fate? Oh, of course he falls. Oh, I thought it was going to be infinitely falling.
Yeah.
Right before he falls, for a split second, a blue screen again pops up reading, "While data could be inferred from these readings, nobody knew what would actually be found on the other side." I think this refers to the complex as a whole, and that no matter what technology Async uses to try and gather data, they'll truly never know what the complex has in store for them. After Marvin falls, they think of a plan to get him back, but he hears something.
Okay.
What was that?
What was what?
I don't know.
I didn't hear anything up here.
It sounded like. I think there's somebody down here.
What?
You're yelling. Like a person is yelling.
A person?
As he continues towards this opening at the bottom of the walls, he sees an entirely different world. It looks like an entire neighborhood that was stolen from the world and plopped into the complex. The team urges him not to continue, but Marvin thinks back to those null zones we learned about earlier. He thinks there might be someone who had fallen in and needs help. This area is much more fleshed out than anything we've seen so far. It's a long cry from the attempt the complex tried to make with the barn, with full-on 3D houses now being made, even having a night sky above it. That was clearly just a wallpaper, but he doesn't have time to admire.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Screams and yelling of a male voice can be heard coming from one of the houses. As Marvin enters, he is greeted by a room filled with inverted turn signs before again hearing a cry for help. Going further down in the house, he seems to be put in a maze of hallways as his signal with the rest of the crew goes fuzzy. But for this next part, I just want you guys to experience this, and I'll come back after.
What?
I think someone's been living down here.
Living down there? That's not possible.
Hey! Can you hear me?
I was 113 subs. Let's go. I gotta update you. Oh, and hey, what if the screams that they're hearing is them in the upcoming future? Like, I mean, I don't know how true that would be, but you know, they'll be in. I don't know. I just thought about that. The screams being actually the person walking around in the first person. They're like they're
Sorry, can you repeat that?
right? Because you see them fall into traps through doors, go from one level to another, and every time they seem to like fall either through a crack, in through a square hole, or through something, and they end up screaming and yelling. And I'm thinking that's them, but you know, maybe 14 hours into the future. Not even gonna lie, that dude that's screaming for help literally sounded like the dude who's asking who's there, right? That's what I was thinking. Like, what if this is the you know, their impending fate?
Marvin?
That's not a person.
What is it?
Oh, here we go.
That is not a fucking question!
Marvin, talk to me. What do you see?
This was really unnerving to watch, especially late at night. And
Okay, so I think your theory is more likely Zinc's. The bacteria was probably mimicking human voices, kind of like a mimic spirit or a skinhead, a skinwalker. Yeah, that was pretty scary, Vicky, for sure.
while writing this, I'm not gonna lie, the way the monster is able to mimic human voices crying out for help, as well as its painful scream it gives out while chasing, is nightmare.
Yeah, you were right.
So right off the bat, it seems that this monster.
So not to mention how he was screaming, "Who's there?" It probably literally just mimicked his own voice, considering how much he's yelling out to whoever is there. True, very true. Yeah, so you were right. It was actually mimicking a human voice.
monster preys on other humans that have fallen into the complex
But technically, I wasn't wrong because he ended up running away, screaming, saying, "That's not a human. That's not a human."
through null zones, using its voice to lure others out of hiding only to be attacked. If it acts anything like the monster we saw in the very first video, more than likely it eats or devours the people it catches, if we're following the idea that these things may be made up of human-eating bacteria. Because it might be scary to think that this thing might have at one time been a human. If these creatures really aren't bacteria monsters,
Because at the end of the day, I mean, it works like you're in a whole place where there's a single person in the second you have a voice, you assume, oh, it's another person, I'm gonna go there. Yeah, I mean, we are humans, and humans are very social.
I think that there are actually other people, other humans that have morphed into these things after being in the complex so long. Due to the environment the complex creates, it changes them over time, and they are only able to survive off of other victims that have fallen in. And if that's true, then maybe it makes sense why it can still scream out in a human voice, because it's all that it had left of its past self. Even if not, one thing is for sure, these monsters aren't just acting.
Hey, what if what if that wasn't Kane Pixels on the floor? What if they don't just copy voices but also bodies? What if Kane Pixels is somewhere out there still running around, and he's been running around for like 6 years, since 1988 all the way to 1995 or 96, pardon me.
On pure instinct. They're intelligent. They understand how to lure out human prey. And oddest of all to me is the way it uses the words, "Can anybody hear us?" Not "Can anybody hear me?" It uses the word "us" specifically. I'm not sure if it means that it's attacked groups of people down here, or if it knows that humans will flock towards other groups of people. But this section was honestly so scary on my first watch through. Just on how horrifying the sound design is for this monster, this is something that any person would get the chills listening to. And as Marvin makes his way back from the hole he fell in, it's all you can hear.
You see? Tell me this is not something you could talk about for hours. That's why I love the backgrounds, I mean the back rooms, man, and that's why I wanted you to watch it. Yeah, I'm so glad you brought it up. I thought it was like a video game or something, but no, it's a whole show. It's a lore. It's got a backstory. It's got a all this hidden meanings. It's just a basket of goodies. You know what I mean? Just to put it that way. Yeah, you're right. I'm so glad you showed me this.
Damn, I did that suitcase. Here, hold it like this.
I'm surprised the monster isn't able to get into the room and attack him, as it might just not be agile enough to fit through the small underpass. But more importantly, we can see that Marvin begins to cough.
And once you start coughing, that means you've been affected by the bacteria. So I'm thinking, like, it's like you might as well just lay down, bro. Like you're toast. It's in you and it's spreading.
Even with the hazmat suit he has on, the complex still seems to have some kind of health effect on him. I researched more into Hay Bacillus, and it seems that the bacteria itself can cause respiratory problems, leaving some with simple reactions like allergies, but can also cause things like pneumonia. And thanks to its amazing durability, it can basically survive in any environment. So if the complex itself is ramping up the way the bacteria acts, then it's completely possible it could be very...
Do you think the backrooms would let you off yourself? Because I mean, I feel like they're interwoven with the bacteria monster. So I feel like the bacteria monster wouldn't allow you to do it. Yeah, you probably have to be alive for the bacteria monster to, take over your body and leech off of you.
Harmful to humans. Marvin is able to luckily escape as the crew uses a rope to pull him up. But the main question I'm left wondering after this video is, where does Async go from here? I said before, they must not have came into contact with one of these monsters yet, because they walked around the complex so calmly, too unworried. But if researchers know that thing is lurking around waiting for them, how will they continue to go back out and explore again and again? Well, from the looks of the title on the next video, we may not have to wait long to find out. Report follows right after the events that took place on May 6th's research voyage and run-in with the monster. We open up on Async Labs as the audios from Marvin Encounter plays.
That is not a fucking person! Right. Morgan, Captain, what do you see?
Closing in on the threshold door opening up, and we can see the entire crew made it back safely. But what seems like a higher up is waiting for them, who, if you had a keen eye last video, was there as Marvin was entering the threshold. We watch as multiple async researchers.
Okay, so they all made it out, but they were breathing the bacteria in. So it's likely that they brought it into the real world with them. Okay, report is the video that I'm talking about. You will find out the concept of null zones. Gotcha.
Seem to overlook the camera footage of Marvin's POV, all of them horrified at what exactly they are witnessing. Also, this change of style from special effects to in real life footage works so well. Actually seeing some faces to the async names makes it feel more real, instead of just faceless entity that's up to no good. Seeing how the scientists who are working here react to the otherworldly being just makes me feel like, yes, finally someone else knows about this insane thing too. And as the in real life footage ends, we are shown different still shots of other parts of the complex and the further development they've done, going so far as to build an entire mechanical door. From my guess, that encounter spooked Async's team so much that they made further precautions that if that thing is ever seen again, it will not make it out the complex. As we are shown electrical schematics of some sort, most likely pertaining to the giant.
Well, maybe not through the door, but if he uses the humans as a vehicle to get out of there. Also, totally off topic, but in the future, you have to watch the SCP, the Tides of War. Oh yeah, for sure. I'll write it down on the whiteboard.
I'm at a wall there having built right outside the threshold. Yeah, I'm sure that thing will be the answer to all these cosmic horror problems. The next video presentation takes place only a couple days after, on the 8th of May, presenting a project called A Space on a Projector. We're then given the Shark Tank pitch for what is alternate reality storage units. Well, it's basically what the presentation makes the complex out to be, being made most likely for the US government, as we know that Async is trying to get.
All right, Zinx, Vicky, I'm tapping out. I don't know if you guys, we're already halfway through. We can always pick it up tomorrow, finish it out, and then begin the conversations. But this has been eye-opening. It really has been. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and tap out for tonight, and then we'll pick it up tomorrow, if that's okay with you guys. Ward, my guy, we have to save the rest because we're already halfway through, and that's good enough. That's way past 20 minutes, but the next time you have to finish it and check out the Tides of War. Absolutely. All right. Well, Zinx, Vicky, I'm cashing out. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good night, guys. All right. What an absolute W stream, my guy. I can't wait to look forward to more streams like that. Absolutely, dude. And you know the story forwards and backwards. Like, having you in the chat for this is nice, because we can break it down. And once we bring it over to the other types of not the other, but the other live stream, we can always hash it out and just continue talking about it. Okay, good night, Foster. Oh yeah, good night, Vicky. Dude, I know the story like the back of my hand. So trust me, if you want to pause at any point and ask me anything, I know everything. Gotcha. Just if there's because he sometimes he says things and he doesn't go into greater detail, but having you here to add the rest of the puzzle, that's great. All right, you too, Vicky. Get some rest. And Zinx, we'll finish it out tomorrow for sure. All right. Good night, guys. See you tomorrow. Lex, you can't sleep here. We gotta. We gotta go to bed, baby. All right. What is that? Yeah. But good night, my guy. Looking forward to tomorrow. Do you have enough time? I'm tired enough. Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, tomorrow we'll do another late night stream for sure. All right. See you tomorrow, Zinks.